Good morning. You know what time it is? It's coffee time. That's right. With Michael Sanchez. How everyone doing today? Beautiful day. 72 degrees over here.
Wow.
Hey, how you doing, Diane? How's it going?
Good, good. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's pretty warm
Good.
here
I'm trying
too.
to.
So, yeah,
What's
finally.
the temperature
It
over
was
there?
cold for a long time.
How cold?
Yeah, the weather just turned. We had such cold weather. I mean, it's been a crazy winter too.
Ah,
So,
ah. You have to mind me. I'm still trying to figure out this new platform here. You know what I mean? It's the first time
sure.
well, the second time. Do I sound too loud on your side?
No, no, it's fine because I wear the headset. It's just easier. This way,
Got you,
the
got you,
sound
got
is
you. Because I
better.
know
Yeah.
the first time I tried it, it was very loud. So hopefully I corrected that. We will see. We will see. Anyway, it's nice to have you here. I've had you here before
Thank
on
you.
the other platform, that Podbean. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Had to move on to something else. But it's
Right,
nice to
right.
finally see the authors on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I'm still part of the Long Island Authors Group. The last time we met, so I've been doing a lot of fairs there. So I do a lot of book signings. It's a tough business, marketing
Hmm.
books and writing. But I mean, I think most of us do it because we love writing. We just love the
That's right.
hobby
It's
of
about a
doing it.
hobby,
And if
nice.
it goes anywhere, it goes anywhere. But so I just go to fairs that kind of resonate with my books, and I try to do a lot of church fairs lately.
Hmm.
So
It's
we'll
funny you
see.
mentioned that because you said a hobby. So and people, I've been asked
Mhm.
many times. I'm sure you've been asked many times. Is it a hobby or is it profession?
It could be both. I guess if it goes that way. So I think it starts out as a hobby. I mean, you write about what you like. And I'm a nonfiction writer, but I hear fiction writers the same way. There's always a story, and I'm learning that some of the characters are actually people that were part of their lives. So it's somehow everybody always writes about real things in a sense. um,
Hmm.
so I'm
Yes,
working
yes.
on a new one right now. It's in um, edit. I have the Jody Freeman. She's my editor. She's excellent, by the way. If anybody needs an editor, it's called Near Death Experiences and the Clergy. So my first book, just going back, which is He Is Watching. Um, you might not be able to see it because I have the
Yeah,
screen up,
it's
but so it's
mhm.
it's He Is Watching. So I interviewed like clergy with that one, and it has to do with the darker sins of humanity. Like where are you leading to the second coming of Christ? But it also included the afterlife and the near death experiences in that, and so this book is all about near death experiences, but I want the clergy reactions to it across denominations, because I always like to hear from different churches or different leaders or different ministers. What do they have to say? And it's really interesting. I think it's going to be an excellent book. So I'm finished writing it, and she's just teaking it up and polishing it for me. And she loves it. So I'm gonna try and submit that to traditional publishing. So we'll see. If not, then I'll go back to Westbow Press and submit it.
Did
So we'll
you
see.
choose the title yourself? How'd that come about?
Yeah, yeah. I always try to choose the title that like really describes the book, so it's more catchy. Because there's a lot of near death experience books out there. So I just added "and the clergy" because it's really about clergy interviews, and that kind of makes the book. I mean, of course, you have my commentary, and I did interview near death experiences themselves, and then he took some stories that are out in the public, but and I kind of intertwined it. And there's a lot of similarities with these stories, but there's also a lot of differences. And with the clergy, I really want to zone in on what are these differences and why is one saying one thing and somebody else is saying something else. So um, I really wanted to get to the bottom of that, if I can.
Well,
It's such a
what are you hearing? What kind of differences are you hearing that are constantly being brought up?
Well, one thing, I don't know if you ever heard of Robert Marshall. He's been out there,
No,
and
no.
he says you can't look down upon souls, So, once you're in heaven, that's it. You're in heaven. You're separated from the earth, because which makes it could make sense. He says that God sends messengers to comfort those that are here on earth, but it's actually not the soul of that person themselves, because if they kept on looking down, they couldn't be at peace, which makes sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then others say no, no, they're with you all the time. So I'm like, oh, how could it be both? One priest was just amazing, and he's a new priest too. He just became ordained. He's in Africa. Um, Father, yeah, Q. I never Tubi. I can never pronounce these correct, but it's Father Tubi. But he's wonderful. But he explained that once you're in, if let's say you go to hell, I don't know if you're Catholic or Christian, but you believe in,
Catholic, yeah.
Catholics believe in, like hell, purgatory, and heaven. So if you're in a hell, you're cut off, right? So you wouldn't obviously be able to contact spirits. He says the same with purgatory, because purgatory is like a cleansing, of the soul. So a lot of Christians don't like to use that term, like purgatory, but when you think about it, it's like a life review. So when you're going through everything, kind of like purifying your soul, you can't really look down upon the earth because you're working on yourself. But he says once you go to heaven, the priest said, you're a saint, and saints do look down upon souls. So it's kind of it depends where you are, I guess. I guess that's the
Right.
answer. It depends where you are. So it kind of makes sense to me. So well, who knows, we'll
Hmm.
see. We'll find out one day the truth.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. That's
it's
strange.
interesting,
Hmm.
listening to them, and finding out. So I try to write nonfiction books where I can draw in information, like firsthand information, not something you could just look up, because it entices the reader more. Because a lot of this stuff you can find online. Like if it's informational, you could just Google it and find it online. But it's very hard, firsthand information or responses to things that a lot of people have questions about. Like, what are they not answering? What do they
So
not know?
what what are the kind of controversies are you hearing with this topic?
Well, I mean, that's one of them. I did speak to a researcher. She's also an author, Lynn Russell. She's amazing. She actually worked with a doctor, a cardiologist that did 2,500. She researched 2,500 cases that people actually died clinically and then came back to life. So there's
Hmm.
some, you know, um, obstacles with it, that you have to really, you have to scrutinize the case, go case by case, and kind of weed some cases out. And for example, like if they were only, say, gone for like a minute, the brain is still, in the dying process. So that can be confused with that tunnel type of vision. So you kind
Right.
of have to weed that out. So they kind of take cases that, okay, they were clinically dead for like more than a half hour. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
people have been revived, even like with Robert Marshall, he was revived after 44 hours, which is like amazing. He had
Wow.
44 hours of being
Right.
gone. So nothing like too quick, because the brain is still dying. So you don't know. There could be other variables in there that are causing like hallucinations and things like that. So you want to get rid of those. So those are interesting facts, which I didn't know about until I spoke to her. And I included her interview in my book. So just things like that, because people just say different things. And some people say there's no purgatory, some people say there is. And to me, I just think of it as, well, I don't know, that's just a word. So they could just mean a lower level of heaven or higher level. You know what I mean? It could just be different things. So,
Yeah.
but I like to kind of, see what they have to say because they've
I
experienced it,
see that you,
So.
you wrote a blog, I think I believe it was, and you mentioned focused on the alien aspect of it. What do you think about that?
Oh, the
Especially
alien
everything you
aspect.
talked about out there. Yeah.
Uh, can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I think in your some writing that you did, you focused on aliens,
Oh, yeah.
extraterrestrial, whatnot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a really interesting topic. And I did put that I did include that a little bit into the next book as well. Because first of all, yeah, people have, and I've known people that have been abducted and then they become psychics or mediums or whatever. Um, I do believe these things are real, but I don't think they're what people think they are. And that's what's coming back from the clergy. And speaking with exorcists, I don't know if you follow Dan Rehill or Father Chad, I think Rappinger is his name, but also Reverend, he, Reverend Miguel Bastillos. He's also an exorcist, but they all say the same thing, that they are actually demons. So it makes sense because
Hmm.
demons can transform into anything. They could create uh, a UFO spacecraft, and they could transform into these reptilians or these, so-called ETs. So, I mean, they could levitate, they could do all kinds of different things, and they've experienced all this as being an exorcist. So, I think they can fool you. And there's a lot of talk, I think even a little bit in government now, about them being demons. I did interview Ken Dudley. He's a UFO investigator, and he's also Catholic. And he also agrees with me. They're finding that more and more. So, these spacecrafts, obviously, they're real. People want to dismiss them. Oh, they're not real. There's no evidence. Well, people seen them, and but it's where are they coming from is the question, and that's what they think. So, and it makes complete sense. It all aligns with the Bible. I mean,
Right.
the fallen angels, the Nephilim, it just makes sense.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, it is really interesting. I think in the short term we're going to find out a lot more. Especially as we get closer to
Is the
the.
public ready for that, you think?
Yeah, yeah,
You think
it's
the public's
interesting. You
ready for
said,
that?
you know what? I think Christians will believe it. Biblical people will. I think they're looking very closely at it. Atheists won't buy that because they don't believe, at all in the Bible. So it just depends, who you are. But I think they are looking closely at it. So
Mhm.
we'll see, what happens. So I don't know if you heard the story of
I think I got Lorraine
Garabandal.
Perry there.
What?
No, I've not. No, I have not. I think I got Lorraine
No.
Perry in here in the studio. Lorraine, are you there?
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
see if she
actually
hears
in
us.
my car. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear her?
Yeah, I can
I've been
hear her.
out doing errands and I thought, well, if I drive home, I'm going to miss the show. But yeah, I'm sitting here in my car listening. Yes,
Right. Do you have a question for our guest?
I do. I do. All this, that she's talking about, the NDEs and the aliens. I have a question for her. Have you ever been contacted by aliens?
No, I haven't.
Let me ask
um
you this. How do you think you would handle it if you were?
Well, I'm gonna tell. I don't think everybody is contacted like that, because another thing that I found out from Ken Dudley, I don't think anybody knows how they would react, because a reaction is just very spontaneous. But I don't think that it would ever happen to me. And I'm going to tell you why, because they found out that a lot of people that were abducted were separated from God. I wouldn't necessarily say an atheist, but they put God on the back burner. And they could call themselves Christians, but are not actively Christian. So this is what I've heard. It's just been a cycle. Like I've been, talking to Ken about this. And when you're actually holy and you go to church and you pray and you ask for divine protection, like Archangel Michael, it's not going to happen, because they found as soon as that people had been, approached, as soon as they mention the word Jesus or God, they're gone in a second. They won't even go near you. So that's why they're looking even further that it is demons. So that's more proof, I should say, that it would be demons. So I'm not really too worried about that. I used to be worried about that a little bit when I was, but now that I'm understanding it, now I understand that really to put you, and the people that are abducted, like, are really seeking them. Sometimes they, sometimes they approach the aircraft, or they follow whatever they see in the sky, or that they're, looking for that. So that's not something I would do. I would close my windows, close my blinds, stay away.
I
and
agree with
pray.
everything you're saying, and I think too,
So,
I was not abducted, but 2 years ago, I got a download, and I was in bed, and it was like just like a beam coming through, and it was all these like cryptic Egyptian. It looked like hieroglyphics, okay, and they were symbols. And I sat up, and I said, I don't understand this. I don't want it. And I never got anything like that again. But it was interesting. Yeah, it was like a download. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, the fact that you're telling them I don't want this, I think that shuts it off right away.
Yeah, never had any problems with it since.
So,
I didn't know what the heck it was, but it was like symbols, and they really, resembled hieroglyphics, something that you would see, in a tomb or in a pyramid.
Right.
And we know the alien connections to the pyramids. That goes way back.
It does. I think we're more in control of ourselves than you think. I mean, they have to have permission to invade you or to come by you. So you're divinely protected by God, for sure. But if you deny God, if you don't believe in his existence, and furthermore, if you don't want their help, they can't protect you. So it's all free will. That's what the world is about.
Yes,
free will.
Yes, it is.
So, but I think we're going to find more and more about this later on, as time continues, we'll learn more. But that's why
there's a movie coming out. There's a movie coming out in a couple of days regarding this topic, and
oh, really?
the world will see, the coming of these aliens, if you will, and will we be ready for it? You know what I mean? It's very interesting. But you mentioned
that is interesting.
These experiences of people that have crossed over but somehow come back. So you're thinking that because of the way the mind is going, they see these things, these entities or whatnot. It's just the mind doing its thing because it's dying.
No. Well, I think the near-death experiences, they're clinical, so they actually have died. So there is something, but where you go and who interacts with you could have an impact. So say if you're an atheist and you're denying God, so God can't just, if you're denying him, it's your free will not to have him. But I think you can then be exposed by other entities, demonic entities, so you're either with God or you're with the devil. There's no in between. So I think with these experiences, you could be exposed to that. I mean, there's been a lot of people that talked about hellish experiences. And I talk about that in my book a little bit. I try not to focus on that, but I think it's more people that are, and they all agree they were not aligned with God. They deny God. They didn't have God as part of their life. So I think the most important thing is to have a relationship with God. and you'll be protected. But I do think you get chances at the end. I don't like to say that, because I think you should be aligned with God now. But I think there's always time to call out to Him, because people have died and were atheists and then called out to Jesus, and then they went right from a hellish experience to heaven. So it's interesting. But
That's
nobody's
what I
like
was going to
left in
ask
that
you. I
dark
said,
space.
so that's what I was going to ask. So when they're having these experiences, these near-death experiences, and they're seeing hell, if you will, does this motivate them to follow Jesus, God, or what? Are you hearing more
Yeah,
of that, or what?
yeah, yeah, it does. Like with those that are having the hellish experiences, sure. So I think it does turn them around. I mean, with the data I know Lynn did, with all those people that had experiences, they did live a better life afterwards when they got a second chance, and they all believed in God at the end, even the atheists. So yeah, it does have a
Mm,
positive impact on them for sure. Um, I
interesting.
myself had an out-of-body experience, and I had two of them. I wasn't dying though, so
Hmm.
it is a similar experience. So I was in prayer, and I was, just in my bed. I was next to my husband, and I was just like praying. Like I said, how could this all be in two places at once? Just I have this curious mind. I need the answers to it. So my, and I knew I was divinely protected by Him, so I could feel His presence all around me. I didn't see God, but I felt God was around me. It was like being in a bubble, like a protective bubble.
Hmm.
And I felt my body lift. I could see my husband, and then it was like a lesson. I knew I wasn't dying, but I then hovered over the grass on my lawn, and I could see the grass, the blades of grass, so distinct, so defined, like as if you know, put it underneath a microscope or something, I just saw everything
Wow.
so clearly. And then I was back laying with my husband, and then back and forth, and then suddenly I saw both at the same time. I was like
Hmm.
in the same space at the same time, and I go, oh, I get it, and it was a short experience, and then
Hmm.
I was just back in my
Believe it.
body. And I mean, you could say that that's a prayer, but I was semi-awake during the whole
Hmm.
thing, so I wasn't like asleep. I know sometimes you do can second guess yourself, but it was a feeling unlike, like a dream is very different, like, so when you have a visitation or an out-of-body experience, you're actually feeling this. You're feeling everything, around you. So it's different than a dream, although you can feel like you're in a dream type of state, but you don't forget it. You don't forget that feeling. And the love that surrounded me the whole time was just amazing. So,
Right.
um,
Hmm.
and then I had
Lorraine, you
another
still there,
bot out.
Lorraine?
Yeah, I'm still here. What was that, Michael?
You have another question for her, I guess?
No, I had a lot of out of body experiences since I probably wasn't, they started when I was about 9, and they ended probably when I was about 20, 21. I never had any more, but I can relate to Diane. I was fully awake. It wasn't like a dream. When I got back in my body, I was at the same place when I left. So, I read different things
Mhm,
about that. And one of the things about out of body
mhm,
experiences is that it can also, if you know how to do it, it can link to time travel. You can go back, but
mhm.
you can never go forward, but you can go back in time when you have that out of body experience.
Wow. Yeah, that's not something
Okay,
that
Lorraine.
happened to me, but I could see that. I could see that is because we're always reflective of the past,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I do think it heightens your senses more. Because sometimes in the past, even like you'll forget like your childhood, say, especially if it was a traumatic experience, and all of a sudden, like it'll trigger memories of that. Because you're opening up your awareness more.
Right.
It's, with reincarnation, the Catholic Church doesn't believe in that. I never really took a stance either way with it. because I have different theories on it, personal theories on it. So I think I definitely believe that the soul is created before birth, so, and where a lot of people think that, oh, the soul was created when you were born. I think God created everything at once. So I just don't think it was our time to be born until a certain date. So I think that we were in heaven before. So I think either there was reincarnation where for some reason God wanted us to have more than one life, or are we just watching from heaven, looking down upon what's going on in the planet? So we are very aware of what's going on. Like, and you could have, in that realm, you would have heightened senses. You would know everybody that is on Earth, you would have the capacity to do that. So, that could be a misconception that we live that life. We might have just been, say, their spirit guide, I mean, we don't know the answer to that. So I don't really focus on that, because I think while we're in the present here today, I think we really need to work on what we're here for. People worry so much about their past lives, but they can't even get this life right, so I try not to even think about that. But I know Lynn said with all her cases, 2,500 cases, she said all of them claim that there is reincarnation. So I think in some instances there could be. So I'm not saying there is or isn't. I try to stick to the Bible if I can, because otherwise it won't make sense. But I never put anything past God, or His reasoning or whatever.
So how much research did you put into writing this book?
Well, I think, like I said, I love the firsthand research, but I love going into PubMed. So if there's a topic, or if I want data on something, I'll research PubMed, just to find out, well, were there any studies? I mean, I'm a teacher by nature. I teach for Florida International University. So I always have my students look at the data, because in recreational therapy, we do holistic healing. So I always say, look at the data, see how that works. And I have them research. So, with any research that's been done, like even through PubMed, which is the #1 research site that people would go to, like doctors, they that's one of the most authentic research centers. So you would look at the data, but you don't necessarily have to agree with it. I mean, I have my students critique it. So look at the subjects, look at the question that they're asking, and look how they went about with the study. What methods do they use? Does it seem like a valid research study? There could be a lot of variables that could have loopholes in it. So, but I try to look for that, especially, when I'm writing a book. So, oh yeah, it does say that here. So maybe we should think about that. Just to try and complement my point, doesn't mean that I'm right. I could be wrong, but I try to complement my point with that. So I think it's important to do that, because a lot of people like to just talk and hypothesize and say their opinion, but it's always better if you have some research behind it to back it up,
Have you attempted to talk to a clergyman?
Yeah, well, different denominations. So with He Is Watching, I spoke to 8 different clergy. And of course, you need permissions. Like Westbow Press, when you publish through a Christian publisher, you need permissions for everything. So you have to go back and make sure, okay, this is what I'm going to be publishing, and you agree to this, right? So I have to have all that, squared away. So some people, if they don't get back to me, then I don't include it. So it's actually more than 8, but I have 8 in there. And then with this book, it's about the same. Actually, 15 people I interviewed between near-death experiences and researchers like Lynn, out-of-body experiences, including my commentaries in there. I interviewed somebody else that had an out-of-body experience. And then clergy, about six people, two Catholic priests. One of them is an exorcist, the other one's from different denominations, and one rabbi.
Now, do they all, is their feedback just about close to the same proximity that what you're expecting for them to say, or what?
Well, the one that's very different is the rabbi, because the rabbi is not Christian. So he had a different perspective, but of course, he believes in God, and they always come back to you have to align it with the Bible. But there's also within any church, there's progressive and conservative viewpoints. So depending on who I'm talking to, they can be very different. So I interviewed an Eastern Orthodox Catholic priest that's different from Roman Catholic. And although they have conservative viewpoints, he was more progressive, so he didn't. So, he had more knowledge and information about the aliens, more things that might have not aligned with his church, but this is his personal opinion, and he put it in there. Not all priests will do that because, they're not allowed to. Roman Catholic priests are more careful with that because they have to answer to the Pope and their diocese and all that. So that does, but when you speak to a minister, they're not answering to anybody, like the Baptist religion, Lutheran, they just answer to themselves, so there's nobody above them. So you can get more of an honest answer from them, which I like and I appreciate. But I understand too, if they could get in trouble, you don't want to say something, because let's face it, they don't all agree with everything that's in their religion. They might have some discrepancies there,
Gotcha.
even though they're serving their church. So,
Hmm.
but
Interesting.
yeah, so
Looks
it's
like I have somebody
interesting.
here. Holly, you there?
It's
Holly, are you
Holly.
there?
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
why my
you there?
camera's not working, but can you hear me?
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Do you have
Yes, we
a
can hear you.
question for our guest?
Yes. I've had some experiences, but it only was like within 2 years' time. I would meet people and they look just like human beings. And I didn't know that, and I'm really thankful that you mentioned it's Diane, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know about if I say, I believe in Jesus Christ and I'd like you to leave now, because they would change from being one human being, like they'd change into a different person right in front of me, but it's still a human being.
Wow.
Like they were trying to mess
Wow.
with me spiritually.
Wow.
And I prayed though, because adversaries, that's what the word Satan means. That's one of the meanings of it. And
Mhm.
like demons or adversaries, and I prayed a lot, and somehow or another, I didn't say it out loud because Satan can't read your mind,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking about aliens, meaning human beings or actual human beings who come over to this country that are, they shouldn't be considered an illegal alien if they're on their pathway to citizenship here in the United States of America. What I'm talking about actual spiritual people.
Mhm.
Demons is what I call them. They lie, and they
Yeah.
always wait until I'm alone with them and nobody else can see. They're cowards. And
Wow.
What do
Hmm.
you say about Holly's insight on
Oh,
that?
okay. So here's what I would do. I would, if she's alone, I don't know where this is happening because but if it's in your home, I would always have holy water blessed all around your house because they don't like holy water. Here's another thing with demons, that if you play the Gregorian chants, I don't know if you know that, they stay away from you. They will run, they will
Hmm.
flee. So always wear a cross. I like to wear St. Benedict's medal because there's protection right in the medal. So just to keep any, negative spirits away from me. But yeah, it's important to just stay aligned with God. I mean, there's a lot of people that call themselves Christians or Catholics and then just don't go to church and don't act in faith. And they kind of slip away, and that's when you're susceptible, because they do know your actions. You know, they know everything about you, the
Gotcha.
demons, and they can use it against you. I haven't heard that Satan can't read your mind. Perhaps that he can. I don't know. That's an interesting point. But if you're in prayer, you have protection. So if you're asking God for protection, even if your prayer is silent, you're protected. So you call in Archangel Michael. You know, he's the number one archangel for protection against demons. So say the Saint Michael prayer. You can find all of this online. The Rosary is magnificently protective. You know, when you say the
When
Rosary,
she
but
said,
even keep it on you. They won't come by you. I'm
right.
telling you, if you do those things, because that's what the exorcist would say. I would actually, if that happened to me, I would be in touch with an exorcist. I really would. But you know, just to get direct advice. And like I said, you could. Dan Rehill, I mean, I know he's in Father Dan Rehill. He's in I know Nashville, but wherever you are, whatever your diocese is, whatever exorcist is in your area, that's who I would get in touch with. It's not that you're possessed by a demon or anything like that, but they can influence you. So they're around. So if you feel like they're influencing you for some reason or targeting you for some reason, um, I'd find out why. There's also prayers of deliverance. So somebody like a witch or what have you puts a spell on you. There's also prayers for deliverance where those, spells or anything that's cast upon you will just go back and disintegrate. So, looking up those prayers are important. Reverend Miguel Bastillos, he's in Maryland, and he's also an author. So he has books on that. I would suggest it. I think it's very similar to the Catholic version. So I would look into that. I'm sorry that's happening to you because that must be scary. So is there any other questions Holly has? Did we lose you, Michael?
Can you hear me? Because I'm losing the
Yeah.
connection as well.
Yeah, I saw Michael went off. Yeah, I can hear you. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, in my first book, which it's been out since 2024. It's an interesting read. I probably read that first, and then before you, well, this next one might not get published this year. We'll see, because I want to send it to Zondervan first. So I'm thinking maybe by 2027, the latest. But it's interesting just to hear all their perspectives. So
It is.
I
It
would,
is. But I'm going to check out your books, Diane. And like I said, I'm in my car and I'm losing the connection. So thank you. You have been extremely interesting. So I'm
You've
definitely
been
going to
really
check you out.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you
okay,
so
thank
much.
you.
Bye
Thank you.
now. Bye
Take care.
bye. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye-bye. And Michael, I don't know where you are, but I guess we'll pick up some other time. I think we lost the connection. So,
I would
all
love
right,
to see
thank
you
you.
again. Or he's hiding.
Yeah, sure, anytime. Michael can have me on anytime. Take
We
care.
were listening to
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Hello, folks. I don't know if you're there out there. I apologize. Apparently, I had issues with the studio. Just went out. Anyway, that was an interesting topic with Diane Calabrese, talking about near-death experiences and the clergy. That was very interesting. Anyway, just check her out. You can find her work on Amazon. And again, she'll be having this book out very soon. The title again will be is Near Death Experiences and the Clergy. Anyway, again, I apologize about the technical issues. What are you going to do? Technical issues. It always happens. Anyway, it's a great topic, and I enjoyed talking to Diane. My friend Lorraine Carey is there as well. So I want to thank you again for listening. I apologize for the technical issues. Hopefully that won't happen again next time. But anyway, I enjoyed that. Anyway, you know what I say. Have a great day, and don't forget your coffee. Have a good one.